Hùng.
Hùng in Vietnamese. In English, Hùng it means hero.
Zero. And how old are you?
I'm 20.
20. Okay, and you're studying at university?
I'm studying in foreign trade university.
Foreign trade, so if you have a company, you can hire him to work for you.
Yeah.
Good job. So you understood that when I told the story in German?
Yes,
you can understand.
I can understand.
And then you did the story again in Vietnamese?
Yes, I can.
Good job, thank you.
Ngày xưa, ở ngôi làng nọ có hai người, một người con trai và một người con gái. Họ yêu nhau.
In ALG, we only want the students speaking their mother tongue. We don't want them speaking the target language, the language they're learning, until they've actually had enough listening and they can pronounce the words correctly. If you start speaking too soon, which is what happens to most learners, you fossilize your mistakes and you'll have permanent damage done to your pronunciation of the foreign language.
Để làm công nhân, làm những công việc như là khuân vác, làm những công việc như là đào đường.
So in my ALG classroom, I would tell the story in English, and then I would have the students retell it in their native tongue, in this case in Vietnamese. If you don't remember the tragic story of Ian and Amy, then take a look at ALG Vietnamese video 1, and you can see me telling the story. Oh, but I told it in German, so maybe you won't get that much out of it. But anyway, Hung is doing a really good job of retelling the story in Vietnamese, and this is what a real ALG classroom would be like.
Ở nhà thế nào rồi? Và anh ta nhiều lúc anh ta cũng khóc. Còn cô con gái thì khóc em ở nhà chả có chuyện gì cả.
Except that for classroom management purposes, I sometimes have to cheat and get the students to speak to me in English, but for the most part, we'd want them speaking their native tongue. And if you speak Vietnamese, it works even better. They talk to you in Vietnamese, but make sure to answer in the language that you're teaching, whether it be English or German or whatever language you're teaching.
Bay sang Australia để tìm người con trai. Khi người con trai trở về nước, anh ta chạy ngay sang nhà người con gái và mở cửa nói rằng em ở đâu rồi? Đâu? Nhưng không có ở nhà cả, không có ở nhà. Vì vậy và anh ta gọi điện cho anh em đang ở đâu đấy? Anh nói thế em đang ở chỗ nhà trọ của anh, ở chỗ nào gần đây, không thấy ai cả. Và người con trai lại nói tiếp, thế à, anh đưa ở nhà em rồi này. Thế là khoảng tầm 10 phút sau, người con gái bay từ nước Australia về đây để làm đám cưới và họ trở thành một gia đình.
Okay, and you have a little business now. Tell us about your business.
I'm going to open a company for teaching the foreigners to speak Vietnamese.
Phong and his friends are the exact reason why I'm so taken by Vietnam. This is a group of young college kids. They're all about 21 years old. They've formed their own company and they've identified their target market, target audience. They're selling Vietnamese lessons to foreigners. They come to your place and they teach you for a low price. The idea is so simple, and there's a need for this in every Asian country. In Korea, I couldn't even find a school to study, and they weren't even offering Korean lessons to foreigners. In Taiwan, in Tainan, in the city where I lived, there was not one school teaching Chinese to foreigners. It was only the university, and it was very expensive, and only started at certain times of year, and classes certain times of day.
Khi người cha qua đời thì người con rất là muốn học theo của cha, đó là muốn làm mình đi biển.
There are a bunch of college kids, there's a pool of teachers, and they know when this one has a free hour, when that one has a free hour, and so depending upon what hour of the day you need a teacher, they'll send someone out to you. And this just makes so much sense. When you're talking, you need to. Okay, because I don't know.
Và cậu bé, ông thì đã dẫn ra cậu bé là một.
So this is a brilliant strategy, and on Phong's part, it's a way of getting foreigner dollars in. And now he wants to expand his business and start teaching various courses to Vietnamese students.
Dựng ra thành một cái ống cao và cậu bé và ông cậu bé đã chỉ cho cậu bé một cái ống cáp và một cái cột cáp và nói rằng là và chỉ lên một.
This country of Vietnam is so incredible. They're in such an amazing transition right now, and I see the young people trying really hard to move forward, and they are looking at everything. These kids asked me about Brian Tracy, they asked me about Anthony Robbins, they were asking me about how the stock market works, they were asking me about motivational speech strategies. The noises that you heard in video 1, there were noises coming from the other classroom. That was a laugh yoga class that the kids were attending. Vietnamese young people are on a fast track to the new millennium. This country is going to be a dynamic economic powerhouse in a few years, and it's this group of 21-year-olds that are in the classroom right now that are going to wind up leading the way in the new business in the new millennium.
Phải dần ra. Đấy, và cậu bé mới hiểu, mới hỏi là tại sao mà ông lại làm như thế, thì ông nói rằng là.
Thank you so much, Mom. Thank you. Okay, so one way to do this, core novel method and ALG is very similar. The one way is, do I already know this story? Do I already know this story?
No.
I do. I know it, but I don't know it in Vietnamese. So he told me in Vietnamese, Hong told me in Vietnamese, a story, but it's a story I already know. Now it's much easier for me to learn Vietnamese. Context, ideas, everything, it's already here. I already know. And then I hear him. And a few words that I hear, Nam Viet, the working and this. And so I start to hear things and make connections in my brain because I already know the story. That's one method. Okay, at my level of Vietnamese, 3 weeks of studies, can you ask me to tell this story in Vietnamese? No way. I can't even answer questions in Vietnamese. So what can we do to practice? You can speak Vietnamese to tell the story, but you can ask me questions in English, which is what I did for you. I didn't ask you questions in German. I asked you questions in English. Okay, I want you to think about this. I'm going to introduce my family in German, and then I will ask you to introduce your family in Vietnamese. Yeah, I say your family. It can be anything about you. Okay, your hobby, how did you grow up, something, child, family, anything, school. Ist Italian. Und hier ist Sizilien. Mein Großeltern. Das war mein Großvater und Großmutter. USA. New York. Und sie gingen in New York. Und es waren meine Großeltern, meine Tante und mein Vater. Das ist mein Vater. Mein Vater, meine Mutter, mein Bruder, meine Schwester, noch eine Schwester, und ich bin der Kleinste. Das ist mein Großvater, Großmutter. Mein Vater, Mutter, Großvater, Großmutter, ist Italien und Sizilien und sie gingen dann in Amerika. Und wir alle sind in Amerika geboren. Das ist meine Familie. Okay, so that's my family. So, what is this? Italy.
Grandfather and grandmother.
Right, grandfather and grandmother. Very good. Who's this? Who's that? Older brother.